Hello, FewCandy here, and welcome back to a rainy Few Orleans, or Few Orleans. I don't know. I don't know how I'm meant to say that. And before we start today, I do want to give our two little starting towns some names. So for our new town over here, we're going to call it Lafayette, and that is thanks to Nicolaj11. Thank you for your suggestion there. You had 75 upvotes on this, so it was a great suggestion. And there's a city close to New Orleans called Lafayette, if I'm saying it correctly. So yeah, we've got Lafayette. I really love that. Thank you so much for that suggestion. And then over here, we're going to call our first little town Arcadia, and that is thanks to Brian Cameron. Thank you so much for your suggestion there, and that's because the people who founded New Orleans were Acadians, the French people expelled from what is now Nova Scotia and New Brunswick. So we've got Arcadia and we've got Lafayette. Really love that. Thank you for all of the suggestions that came in there. So today my absolute mission is to try and make a little bit more money, but also reduce this unemployment problem that we have. So if I go back into here, yeah, it's still at 23%. So we're basically going to put in a ton of offices and a ton of industry and really work on getting this down. But the first thing I do want to do today is actually add in the college, which I said we were going to do absolutely ages ago. And it is really important to get the college in early just to get those education levels up, because if you check our education tab, we have got so many people uneducated and poorly educated. Like, we really need to get these people moving through the education system. And as far as I'm aware, I still think there is a bug in high school and college education, which obviously doesn't help with this. You can see here we've got not very many people. Actually, we don't have too many eligible for high schools, but perhaps they've fixed that. But I think there's a bit of a bug with the college. I'm not sure if it's fixed yet, so we'll have to see how we go, but we definitely want to get this in. And what I'm thinking is I'm thinking I'm going to stick it over here in Acadia. They've got the high school here as well, even though it is the smaller of the two towns we have so far. This little prominent position here, overlooking the town, I think is absolute prime position for the college, because it definitely does look like a big kind of fancy mansion house when we place it down. So in order to do that, we are going to have to unlock a couple more tiles here. So we'll unlock both of those so that we can get a road ultimately coming from this one round to the college. I think that's probably more appropriate than trying to bend this one round these tight boundaries. So we'll go for that. We'll purchase those and let's get our college in. So yeah, there we go. I really like that position, and we can do a bit more detailing around it when we come to kind of fill out this area. I think we'll probably do a small village sort of housing area around the back of it. I mean, this is quite a large, nice flat piece of land, so it could be fairly substantial up here, but definitely suburbia, I think, around the college. We definitely want some nice grounds around it as well, with a bit of flower and bush detailing. The only thing we can do. But yeah, really happy with that kind of location of it overlooking the city that way. It looks really quite nice, actually. So because that is now going to put a big strain on our budget, I do now want to focus on how we can actually maybe make a little bit more money. And how we're going to do that is we're actually going to use the geothermal power plant. So we have enough development points now to unlock it. So we need to get the emergency battery station, and then we can go ahead and unlock that too. We've still got 7 left over. And so in order to make money from this, we need to connect it to the outside power collection, which is coming in over here. It does actually swing fairly close round our little area over here, so we could actually connect the power in all together. But instead, actually, I'm thinking this big hill in the middle is going to be a massive load of forestry and also ore industry as well. So if we take a look at raw resources, there's a couple of ore deposits in here too. So we're going to kind of have forest surrounded by these little ore mines. I'm thinking right up in the top here, so we have a little look, we have this water deposit. And the geothermal power plant needs groundwater in order to function, so I'm thinking this is a perfect location for it. So we're going to need to unlock a few more tiles, and that will mean essentially joining up our two cities, which is okay. So we're going to go ahead and unlock those 3 there, and then let's get in our power plant, and then we can worry about the road connections afterwards. So yeah, this is a big, substantial power plant. But what we want to pay attention to is that electricity production, because you can see, like, the more we move kind of less over the water area, that production goes down. So groundwater level too low. So we want to make sure that's absolutely at 150 so that we can get the maximum kind of benefit from this. So we're going to go ahead and place this in here, and I'm wondering if we could actually eventually have 2 up here, which might be a little bit greedy, but we'll just have 1 for now. So we'll place that in there, and it is going to push up the landscape and do a little bit of nastiness, but actually it's not too bad. It's not too bad around here, so we can just smooth that off just to help it sit in a little bit better. Like that. And then let's get this thing hooked up. So most importantly, we want to get this power connection to the outside line. So I'm actually going to go underground with this, because this is not going to look ideal at all, because we're going to have to follow our tile boundaries round to get to over here. So let's just keep it going underground all the way, and then we'll hook it into this power line here, which will connect it into our outside connection so that we can export that electricity. We of course also want to use it for our town. So we need to hook in the road networks now, and I'm thinking I'm going to actually bring it up from this side, because the slope here is a little bit less steep than it is this side, which is very, very steep. So we'd have to do a kind of winding road, which I don't think we've really got enough space with the tiles that we've unlocked. So let's bring it up over here. Now I'll just delete out that bit of road, because what I'm actually thinking with this is I'd like to kind of make this relatively flat. So we're just going to bring up some of the land this side. I know that's literally done the opposite of what I wanted to do. We're going to raise it up a tiny bit, and we'll blend it into the hillside just so that we can get this road across reasonably flat. I don't even think that that is tall enough, but it will be a little bit better than it was previously going down to the ground height. We'll bring it in at a reasonably gentle 4% slope. I feel like that's a little bit better there. And then let's start working our way up the hillside towards our power plant. So we have now got that in, and it is making us quite a bit of money at the moment, although it fluctuates a lot, so we'll see. We'll see about that. I did whack the budget up quite a bit so that we could export more, and that brought the maintenance resources expense up, but also brought this up, and it doesn't seem to have gone back down. So that could be a little trick in order to cheese this a little bit. I mean, I'm thinking it's going to gradually come down over time, but we'll keep an eye on it and see how it does. So that will help our budget a bit. The other thing I do want to do, because we're really rapidly losing a lot of money, is adjust our residential tax. So I am unfortunately going to tax these guys just a little bit more, but keep that relatively low. And we're also going to push these up to 15%, because hopefully we'll get more educated people in now that we've got the college in too. And I'm also going to push these up to 20%. Just to get in just that little bit of extra money and help our poor budget, which is suffering quite substantially. I also did realise as well that our college is kind of not really being served by any public transit. So I think it would be great to have a nice stop right outside the front of the college here. So we can just add a nice little sign, I think, on the road right outside like that. Then if we grab our bus line tool, let's actually divert this one into the college. And we'll have it in both directions so that people from Lafayette can get here, and also people from Arcadia, because it's coming from the centre of the town here, can also get out to the college. So that will give people good access to there. We don't really have any public transit at the moment up to here, but we'll come back to our local bus lines around this area and definitely help to bring the citizens up here. We have got parking on the road, so they can drive up here and park if they wanted to. That's not too much of a problem. But again, hopefully that's just going to help get more people enrolled in college, because at the moment, absolutely no one is enrolled. And the other thing I'm actually going to do as well to help our budget is turn off our park maintenance depot, because it is 50 grand a month, which isn't a massive amount, but I don't think we really need it at the moment. We haven't got that many parks in to kind of warrant it, so I think we'll just turn that off. And I don't want to really kind of like upset the citizens too much. But the other thing we can do is come in here and adjust some of our services. So I am actually just going to change health, fire and police all down to 80%. And I think because we've got an abundance of space in our education as well, let's also just bring that down as well to 80%. That's just going to give us a little bit of extra money. We're still losing, but hopefully with zoning in a bit more office and industrial, which we're going to come on to now, that will save it. So we definitely need jobs down in Lafayette. So we're going to be starting with an office park, an out of town office park over this side, and then probably a little bit of waterfront industrial over here. I don't kind of want to do the whole waterfront round here as industrial. I definitely want some residential, but we have got like these two little peninsulas and island over here that we can do some nice residential on. The thing that we do have to bear in mind though, of course, is the wind direction, because it is coming across like this. So any industry we put here may affect the housing this side, although if we're just doing a little bit of zoned industry, the actual air pollution from that won't be too bad. We will get a bit from our geothermal plant as well, so we're going to have to be careful of anything we place in this area too. So in my mind, I've kind of got this idea of how I want this to look, which is very much like some of the British office parks that we have in out of town areas around the UK. So that's really what I'd quite like to do here. So I'm going to start by just creating like a main road frame for it, and I'm going to try and work around this terrain because it's actually not too bumpy. Like there's little slopes here and there, but it's not kind of the worst terrain that we've ever seen in the world, so I think we can cope with it. So what we are actually going to do is base this whole area around this main frame, this main road network frame, and draw in little small office and industrial parks off the sides of it basically. So let's have a couple of just small roundabouts in these areas here, and we could even do a bigger one here. I think we'll leave that for the moment. And the annoying thing is we don't have any demand for offices right now, which is quite frustrating. So I'm going to try and zone some in and see what we get. We might have to revert to doing the industrial waterfront first and see if we get any office demand in afterwards, but we'll come back to that. So we're going to start with a little office area over in this area here, and we're going to make sure that we're snapping nicely to the grid that we want to snap to. And I'm just going to draw a road here in to block that so that we can count this out nicely. So I want to have a 6x6 grid in here so that we can zone in one large office building into this area, which is going to kind of be the main office, the main head office for this particular office park here. And then we're going to extend out some smaller areas around it. So I quite like a little piece of open green space in the middle here. We'll go for that. And then we'll keep bringing out our road network frame around it. Trying to make sure that we are snapping into this grid, which may prove a little bit difficult. So we might just want to add in a path along here for the moment to stop the kind of grid from the main road interfering with what we're doing. And I can see here already that this is slightly broken, so let's just redo these roads so that we can get this in absolutely perfectly. So we'll have a small open green space there, like I mentioned, and then we'll continue the grid on. I don't know why that's doing that. Really, really frustrating. If we trim back that road here, we can get the building in that we want to. So I would like another office, I think, in this location here. We'll zone that in, and we can draw back in our road and draw our road in around it over this side. Then over here, we're actually going to have some pretty large factory buildings. So I'd like one kind of large industrial factory there, and then maybe a couple of smaller buildings out this side to kind of get that sort of warehouse vibe out the front. But then all of that together should make quite a nice little office complex mixed with industry here, and hopefully we'll get that office demand up so we actually get that in. But then we can also like frame it with some car parking out the front too, because all of these places definitely have a lot of parking in them, so we can add those two in there. And I think just to help our budget as well, let's whack this up to 15 on both of these. We'll charge them to come to work. Then we can do some nice detailing around each of these sort of complexes as we go along. So let's come on and do a couple more. I'm going to have this one be slightly different, and we'll start off going quite close to this road here. Again, I'd like an office in the middle of it. And interestingly, the road says it's red here because there's nothing built in around it. But actually, once the office comes in, yeah, you'll see it changes to green. So you don't always have to fully pay attention to that, I would say. That is something to bear in mind there. And then with this one, let's add a nice big car park. over this side. I'll leave a little border to the main road so that everything feels nice and spaced out. And then we can continue to bring in some more office buildings round the back here. Now that car park isn't sitting in perfect, so let's just move that for a second. Let's again have a nice big industrial block there with a few more offices around it. And let's try and move this car park back. Okay, so that is coming up against the road, but that's all right there. We just need to wait for some of these offices to fill in and then add more zoning around it. I'm hoping we can get some warehouse style industrial buildings in here, but we'll see what we get in. And again, we'll just keep mixing it up with a bit of office, I think, here. But that creates a nice additional extra area there. We could even create a little kind of back route into it around this side. And then we just want to keep doing these kind of more interesting office mixed with industrial with some parking patterns all around this whole area. Oh yeah, that's the kind of shape of our office park in here, and we'll obviously get rid of the little bits of pathway and detail it up with some nice tree and park and open area patterns, and also some pathways running through and between it. I've also brought in the bus line, so we have got buses now running through here and stopping at various locations throughout the park to get citizens to and from their jobs. And in terms of the industrial, I do want to be a little bit selective about this. Like, I don't want too many smokestacks. I don't mind the odd one. So I kind of don't really mind that one too much, but I don't really want too many around in general. These are, yeah, interesting. Like, we're getting a lot of storage actually in all of this. So you can see these here. These are livestock storage and cotton storage. They're kind of the farm storage buildings. I don't know if they're going to work in our office park ultimately here. So I think we're going to delete those out, unfortunately, and see if we get something else in there. And then there's buildings like this. This is so cool. I think this is a warehouse asset, so I think that will be storage once someone actually moves in. and rents the building. We do have industrial demand, so I don't know why people aren't actually moving in. And we've got things like log storage here as well. Like, I love these assets. They look really cool, but I'm not sure this is really what we want in our industrial office park area. More things like this is perfect. So yeah, again, this is a cold storage though, so it's not actually giving us any jobs, which is kind of annoying. So we'll keep an eye on it and kind of be quite selective about a lot of these assets in here. And obviously we do still need to wait for our wonderful offices to come in. Yeah, see, both of these are storage here, and both of them are still for rent, so I don't really know why they've come in like that. So we could actually delete them out and see what else we get. And things like this, like, love this. This can totally stay. I think in and around the offices this will start to look pretty cool. Same goes for this building and also these smaller ones. This one's lovely. Absolutely love that industrial building. Yes, yes, yes. And that one does have jobs, so that is good news. Again, we've got more storage here, just because when we come to our production, we're actually making huge surpluses on all of the industry we've got in. We haven't unlocked oil yet, and we just haven't put in any metal ore production. So we will obviously come onto those, but because we've got such a high deficit in things like stone, coal, wood and grain as well, we're getting lots of those storage industrial buildings, which is not ideal. I need the jobs, not the storage. And it looks pretty rubbish right now. So I really want those offices to grow, so we really want to encourage that. I might actually, just to do that, lower some of the office tax back down to kind of the green area. So let's do 12% and let's see if we can get those to come in. In fact, let's just go even lower for a moment. We're losing money. There's no denying that. So let's go right down to 5% and see if we can get some of these offices in before we finish today. And immediately, actually, we've already got some of them spawning in, so that tax rate was definitely hurting that. And you can see this here as well if you're curious. So we have got unoccupied buildings, labour availability, and labour availability. Oh, high skill. Yeah, see, this is because we didn't put in the college early enough. So we have got some people going through college now, and hopefully we'll see this percentage of educated and well educated start to come up as we go through time. And that's going to help our office demand, but we'll wait and see. So let's move on to our waterfront industry that I want to do in here as well. And this should be much easier on the jobs as long as we get those actual industrial buildings in rather than the storage. So let's just go ahead and place in a road here. And what I would like to do, because this is quite slopey, is create a bit of a tiered, layered area out of this. I'm actually just going to extend this road round just a little bit further. So we'll create a small little bend in the road here, which is going to bring that level down slightly. And then we'll go back to a nice straight road to bring it across there. Trying to make sure that it's staying reasonably flat. Not too bad. That is one thing that is not so great, is drawing roads over bumpy land. They really, really kind of conform to the land, which is a good thing in itself, but it does make it very difficult to get really nice, perfectly straight roads in. Let's just draw this bit back here a second. And what we're going to do is we're going to add some industry in. So I'm going to go for some nice, big, heavy industry for this, mixed in with a few little parking patterns. And the other thing I do need to be a little bit conscious of is these all have an upkeep factor to them. So keeping our parking areas a little bit smaller is probably going to help us out here. Because some of the larger ones, I mean, these are like £5 a month. It's not much, so you're not talking like huge expenses, but it does all add up, doesn't it? So yeah, we're going to keep going along here and zoning in some nice bits of industry, and we will start to kind of like vary up the patterns a little bit and make it a bit more interesting so we're not having the same zoning size come in all of the time. So let's go for some smaller blocks here like that, and then maybe another large one here. And now that we've kind of got those buildings coming in at the back, let's make our brush size a little bit smaller. What we can do is then just push up this layer right up to the back of them, which will come in nice and straight. And then we can add in a retaining wall road, that's what we want to call it, in behind these. That should come in pretty nicely here. And yeah, we've lost the retaining wall on this side, so we'll have to try that one again. So what we want to do here is just make sure that we're pushing this land right up against these buildings here. It might have a bit of a problem with this. Oh, if we go a little bit further, we do get the retaining wall. So there we go. Yeah, we can do it like that. And we'll get that nice wall in up next to these buildings here. Let's just flatten this out a little bit further as well, because I would like to bring in some pathways down between the layers. I think would be a nice thing to do. So let's just bring that out straight a little bit further. Same goes with this one. Then we can get a pathway in here. I'm hoping it's not too high that we're going to have problems with this. But yeah, we can snap it into there. and just bring it back down to our road so pedestrians can walk to and from each of the different layers. Of course, we need to hook this into the main network, so let's go ahead and do that. And I'm actually hoping that we can get one of the brick sort of side retaining walls to come in down here. So let's just slope this bit a little bit there. Let's grab our road, bring it down to this point. Actually, if we drag it all the way down 180 degrees, it looks absolutely terrible. So let's delete out those two sections and see if we can get that in a little bit smoother. Does that help make it a little bit smoother? It does, and we still get that kind of retaining wall there, which I quite like. And so we come back to smoothing out, and it kind of is unavoidable, unfortunately, to do terraforming on these because it's just a nightmare to build huge industrial buildings on a slope in this game. It just doesn't work nicely at all. Let's just make sure we're back down to ground height for this and get a nice flat road in across the top here. And then yeah, we can just continue out this pattern. And here, I don't mind a few smokestacks. I'm absolutely fine with that. Oh, this is a nice one. Oh, I like that. I'm discovering new assets that I haven't seen all the time, and it's making me very, very happy in this game, I will admit. Oh, we're getting office demand back, I've just spotted as well, so that's quite exciting. I would quite like to mix in a few different offices into this waterfront area too, just so it's not all complete industry. Yeah, I don't mind the odd smokestack. I'm happy with that. Oh, okay, right. Yeah, we've got the machinery now spawned in the middle. I wonder why it looks so different to what I'd seen previously. And as long as it's not spewing out smoke here as well as here, I'm okay with that. I just don't want an absolute sea of smokestacks in our waterfront area. Yes, our office park. It is filling up. This is good news. This is good news. Some of these assets are lovely. Like this one is completely the wrong orientation though, which is incredibly annoying. So let's actually just delete that out. And let's make sure that we're getting a building that is facing the way that we want there. And we'll draw in that road back around it. But yeah, that's starting to come together. I'm preferring the warehouse asset there, so that is looking pretty good. But yeah, I do think it is going to have to be a case of we're going to have to reorientate some of these assets a little bit. Yes, this keeps coming out onto this road. Let's get rid of that. Put a road in there to block the zoning. Hopefully something will spawn in a second. Before we lose our building this side, although actually that is connected to the road over here, so that's fine. Okay, there we go. A little bit of path and a road trick. Did the trick there, although deleting them has now completely reset it. Lovely. Oh, there we go. Yeah, really happy with some of these assets. We do just need to go around and be a little bit selective. This one again is just completely the wrong orientation. The zoning toggle would just be incredibly useful at this point in time, really, wouldn't it? So yeah, there's a lot of trial and error when you're trying to do these things, but it should all come together in the end. So I will go around when we come to do detailing later and select some of these assets. See, that's much better. That's the orientation that I like for our kind of main office, head office area there. This one probably looks a little bit strange too, but again, we'll come back to it. So here I have actually just noticed that this road here has turned into a quay, and I think that's because we put that pedestrian path along it, which is incredibly annoying indeed. So let's actually just remove this path for a second and redraw in this road, because there's a way we can get around it. Also, this road is now also interfering, so we'll just remove that quickly. We're back in business there. Now with this pedestrian path, if we actually snap it in all the way to the other side, I don't think it doesn't change it. So that's a trick, is kind of hold it onto the other side of the road and then it won't change it into a completely raised road on both sides. So yeah, that's kind of the way to annoyingly get around that. But yeah, that's the general kind of idea for our industrial waterfront. So we do now just need to come in and fill it out a little bit. Our money is not helpful, so there's nothing good happening there. I think once we've got all our offices in exactly how we want, I'll raise back up that tax and see how it does. We'll obviously get in a lot more industry down here now too, so that should help. We just go to unemployment rate. Let's have a little look. We're down to 11%, so we're doing a lot better. But I am now just going to continue building this out in a time lapse, and then we'll come back and have a look at the results at the end. So I was just assessing the situation with my city before I started detailing and finishing the build, and noticed this. No! I've never had a tornado actually over my land in this game before, so I'm very curious as to see what the actual effects of it are. We're obviously getting a few buildings being destroyed, and I'm not sure if our population's going to take a hammering because of that. But oh my goodness, it's literally right over Acadia. This is very upsetting indeed. And in the middle of it, we have had a traffic accident where a delivery vehicle has unfortunately gone onto its side. I don't know how all these other cars are literally driving right through the centre of the tornado as well. Like, this is quite exciting. Yeah, we've got so much abandonment. I don't know, like, waiting for a hearse. Oh my goodness. So there is a lot of destruction and horrific things happening due to this tornado. This is interesting. At least it's not destroying like our fundamental infrastructure like it did in CS1. Like, that's why I'm quite happy, I think, to leave it on for Cities Skylines 2, and we'll just have to deal with disasters like this. I mean, they've got high rent, they've unfortunately passed away, and their home has been destroyed by weather. I don't think they can be paying high rent when their home has been completely destroyed. That seems a little bit off. Well, we have another traffic accident over here. A van has rolled down the hill and fallen on its side, and they're just going to carry on literally in the centre of the tornado. Trains don't seem to be bothered by it. That's good news. That's good news indeed. I'm wondering how long it's actually going to last. Okay, it is over now, and the damage isn't too bad, to be fair. At least we're not having to redraw infrastructure, and I have just noticed these houses are actually automatically rebuilding, so that is good news. We have lost several citizens though, so I feel like a memorial for the Acadia tornado of May 2024 is definitely going to be needed somewhere in this city. So I have some news. We're making money. We are making £2 an hour. Fantastic. I'm finally in the green. I am just doing this after a patch actually, since doing the detailing, so I'm wondering if that has fixed anything. Yeah, not too sure. But anyway, our taxes, these are all on 22%. We haven't got any office demand, obviously, from that. I have left some of our service fees still on 80%. Roads are right down. Although it doesn't kind of cost the most out of all of them. We're actually making money on roads. I'm wondering if the parking tickets, the parking balances go into roads. They must do, because otherwise I don't know how we're making money on it. So I'm assuming that's where parking sits. So that's actually good news. Putting up our parking prices has obviously helped. And we do have some cars in our car parks here. And they're all paying $15 to park at work. So I love that. I love that. And all our car parks in here as well are all charging. And yeah, there's a lot of people using them. This one in particular is quite busy. This one as well. Actually, I saw some of them were full earlier, or almost full at least. So yeah, we were actually making quite a bit of money off parking. People don't seem to mind that, but obviously most of the money is coming from the fact that we've raised these taxes and also this electricity. Like having that geothermal plant, massive win when it comes to your budget. So let's just take a quick look on the stats as well. We're down to 8% unemployment. Very happy with that. As long as it's below 10%, I'm pretty happy. So I'm pretty content with that. On education as well, we've had a pretty noticeable increase actually in the educated number of citizens. So that's good. We've got 45 people enrolled in our ginormous college. We're getting there. People are progressing through the education system. So that's good. We just want to get, I think, that poorly educated down a little bit more. But obviously with industry in the city, we still need some of those people. So we don't want to go fully the other way. But yeah, let's just take a little look. Like, this wasn't really a kind of build episode. It was more of a let's fix the city episode. So we have got our little industrial district here. The detailing is minimal, which is kind of what we come to expect with Cities 2 at the moment, at least. But yeah, liking this. There's not too many smokestacks, and some of these stacks that we do have aren't spewing out that horrendous smoke, which is quite nice to see. And some of them are upgraded to some of these like much larger buildings, which is quite nice. They look a little bit more modern, a little bit more clean energy, as it were. I'm loving the storage units, like these log yards and things. I just wish we could select when they actually come in and when they don't. But hopefully that will come with mods or in due course at least. But yeah, I'm liking how that's kind of turned out sat on the waterfront. And we will get some more suburbs kind of spreading in around it, because you can put residential fairly close to industry now, particularly as our wind direction is going this way, so the pollution won't be going over their houses too badly. So yeah, we will come on to do that next episode probably as we fill out this city. And then we have our office park, which at the moment feels very naked because the trees aren't growing up. But once they've grown up and it kind of sits in quite nicely in amongst the forest and amongst the woodland, I think that this will be quite nice. So yeah, I've left in a couple of smokestacks down here in this larger kind of office factory complex that we have this side. But yeah, liking the offices and their sort of orientation. I mean, kind of head offices spread out and then the bit of industry behind it in this little area. Same goes for here. We've done some little very basic arc patterns in some of the open spaces as well, like there. I think my favourite one actually is this. I'm really liking how this little complex looks with the 2 car parks out the front. We've got what I would call the head office there, a couple of smaller office buildings, and then these warehouse style buildings, the industry ones, in this back corner. I think that all sits in pretty nicely. So yeah, overall, once the trees grow up, and once we get in our suburbs kind of spreading out around it and help it kind of sit into the city a little bit better rather than being so segregated as it is now, I think this will look quite nice. But we've definitely done a job of reducing that unemployment and also making money, finally. So we don't have to worry so much about those things as we progress. Obviously, we'll be keeping an eye on the unemployment to make sure we don't go completely the other way, and our money's rapidly dropping. We're down to 148 an hour, but we're still in the green, and that is the main thing. We're about to hit another milestone too, so we'll get a big boost in money then. So before we go today, I do just want to give our office park a name, and we're going to name it after one of my FewCandy Patreons. Thank you so much to all of my patrons for your support. But we are going to call this the Spencer Smith Office Park. I'm going to assume that there is a company here called Spencer Smith. I really like that name. Maybe a financial company or something. That's what I feel it lends itself to. So we're going to call this the Spencer Smith Office Park after my Patreon Spencer Smith. Thank you so much for your support. I really greatly appreciate it, and I hope you like your office park. But for today, that is going to be it. So if you have enjoyed the episode, likes, comments and shares are really greatly appreciated, and keep those suggestions coming for the city in the comments below. If you're new to the channel, please do hit that subscribe button for more City Skylines content, and in the meantime you can check out one of the videos on screen. But thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll catch you again next time. Bye bye!